this and the things that you can do to be very innovative. Thank you. I think that was it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yes.
Yeah, you can please sit, because we're not done with Daniel yet. Actually, we're going to have a panel now discussing this even further. And joining us in this discussion is Lena, Fridlund, Forsgren from Partner Invest Nord and Anna Nordlander from Akenine. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you. And yes, if you do have any questions to the panel now, you can send them in through menti.com. You'll see the code on the screen here. So just bring out your mobile phone, and yeah, Maria will look into them, and in the end we'll hopefully have some time for some of them. Thank you, Daniel. It was a great talk, and I think all of us have one question first in mind. Do you have any clothes connected to the internet yet?
No.
No, but in 6 years.
I still have time. Yeah, I still have time.
Lena, as I told them, you're an investment manager at Partner Invest, but before that you have a long background from the telecom and software industry. So I guess you have seen a lot of technology trends before. Well, what's your reflection on what Daniel just told us about?
Well, the first reflection is, like you said, I think all technology will succeed when the timing is right, and that's when the technology solves a big problem and the benefits are bigger than the alternatives. So the best is still to come, technology-wise at least. It's kind of interesting to say, you were talking about wearables now, and Maria were talking before about impact unicorns, and it's kind of interesting to look into the unicorn industry and see where all the investment money goes today. You can see some trends there and maybe understand what will come in the future. When we invest very early, and we want the companies to fail fast and cheap. That's sort of the best. In reality, it's not that easy, but and I was looking into the biggest failures, and it seems like most of the biggest failures in the unicorn club has been in sort of the impact companies, impact unicorns, like you were into solar cells, for example. 2 big companies, investors lost like $1.6 billion. You had a Hyperloop thing, the train, Arrivo losing like $1 billion. It's amazing money. The timing. Fail fast and cheap is very hard when it takes so much money in order to sort of evaluate if the technology and the timing is right.
Yeah, but exactly, because this is this tipping point, basically. I mean, that impact, yeah, it's really hyped now, but it's not there yet. Or is it? What would you say, Daniel?
The impact of
I mean, if you, of course, solar cells, solar panels, yeah, perhaps it's there today, but if we look into the Hyperloop.
You never really know. So I think so one example is the electric car, which I was talking about. So suddenly it can go very, very fast. So that's the interesting thing, and that's, I think, also why there is a lot of companies investing so much in a very fast time frame, because they are seeing that the tipping points is coming like that. So if you have, for instance, autonomous cars, so it will make the point in time when an autonomous car will be cheaper to create the taxi drive than a human driver. It will immediately basically turn over the taxi industry. So it will be a transformation that only takes maybe 1 or 2 years. So if you have that kind of fast tipping point, then I think you also see the race when people are ready to invest a lot of money as well.
But, no.
Can I just continue on the wear? I think you had that on the first row. You
Yes,
will use wearables in 6 years. Another of the unicorn failures, I'm sort of stuck in this area because it's so amazing. The money is so amazingly much. So 2 years ago, Jawbone was filing for bankruptcy. And I think the industry had, or the VCs had invested like 600 million in the wearables, but the timing wasn't there.
Well, to some extent, you could say the timing was there because a couple of years ago, you saw everybody in the audience almost will have some kind of wearable. So they had some kind of watch. So how many have a wearable today? Yeah, it's not that many.
No.
It's probably 1 out of 20. So you have seen an enormous shift. And I think that's also because the technology was there. You could measure all the things. But then the question was, what would I do with it after that? And that's actually still missing. So if you really can create something of value of that information, for some people there is value because you're training, etc. But I think that's an interesting as well as shift from technology.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were mentioning conversational user interfaces as well, and we all know smart devices. I have an Alexa at home. I don't really do much with it. I say, Alexa, can you play me this song on Spotify? Or Alexa, can you do this? But I mean, the potential in such a device is massive. But I think, now I'm just basing this on my own experience, but a lot of people don't really know exactly what it's there for yet. It looks cool.
Yeah.
It's a bit like you use your Fitbit. It's cool, but for people who aren't really into it, they're like, the interest fades after a while. And then it might come back again with renewed force, which is what I think we're going to see with the smart devices and the impact they'll have on our shopping behavior, for example.
And Anna, we have not really introduced you. You're an Amazon and e-commerce expert, basically. And I mean, that is a trend, at least in some way, that we do shop more on the web. What's your further reflections on what Daniel told us?
I mean, this whole thing about timing, yes, it's all about timing and it's about making it available, and like in the e-commerce world, it's a lot about convenience, which is why like big giants such as Amazon, which I'm really an Amazon nerd, but that's why they have succeeded, because they've figured out how to make life even more convenient for you than you even knew you wanted it to be. So it's all about convenience, and that's the thing with the Alexa smart devices and new things that are happening. Like as soon as it's convenient enough, meaning that it's at the right price point, you know what to do with it, and then all of a sudden you can't imagine a life without it. And I think that's the tipping point effect. When you can't imagine your life say for example, Google.
Yeah.
You're like,
or the iPhone,
or anything like that. And I think a lot of it comes back to just being convenient.
I think there's an interesting discussion as well going on how far this convenience trend could actually go. So because what also happens when technology takes over things that you are doing in life is that you are losing the competence of doing that as well.
Yeah.
So if you're going to see on technology, for instance, if we have autonomous cars after a couple of whiles, after a generation, no human will be able to drive a car anymore. So, and then you could ask yourself, do we have to have that competence? Maybe not, probably not. But then you could have a discussion, well then, so if you have an algorithm that will cook for you as well, so it will make all the food for you, you don't have to be able to cook anymore. After a generation, nobody will be able to cook anymore as well. Is that the competence that humans need to have or should have as well? So if you are driving the convenience too much, you're also removing a lot of competence from humans. And I think that's an interesting discussion. How far do we accept that going there?
Yeah, because I mean, if we take autonomous driving, for example, do we actually want the cars to drive them ourselves? I mean, if you have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, you want to drive it yourself, basically. Of course, taxi, yeah, it would be convenient if you didn't need a driver. But I mean, so do we really want it? Or cooking, for example. Do we really want someone else to do all the cooking? Don't
yes,
we
please.
want to do it Would you?
Yes, I'll take it.
Okay, you take it. You, Daniel?
I remember when we lived in the US, no one was cooking there. I don't know exactly what they used the kitchen for, mainly to put in all the catering there. So I guess it's about a culture as well, but good food, yes, why not?
Yeah, but it's also a bit scary, like thinking about it, how we're losing our own capability as humans.
Yes,
when technology takes over.
I referenced in the presentation Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the professor there, and he also in that investigation, when he was looking into what do people enjoy doing when they are free. So actually one of the things that people are really enjoying or feel empowered when they're doing it, it's driving a car.
Exactly.
So I don't know about this.
Do we want it that or
And
not?
cooking.
And cook.
A few ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Some of us.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna go a little into the theme we have here tonight around good tech and tech doing good, I mean, if we look at Amazon, with their huge impact they have on our behavior when we're shopping, I mean, I guess they could really help us doing good choices. Or?
They could. I could if I would, but you know.
Yeah.
I would if I could, but I won't.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course they could, but they're probably not going to be the first ones to help you shop less, for example, which is something that we all might need at some point. So I think it's an interesting question because yes, they have access to so much data. Yes, they do control your behavior. I mean, ask Alexa to buy, I don't know, like. I'll tell Alexa, I want to buy a Linus, and she'll let you know that Amazon's choice is the Linus that we had from Umeå.
Yes.
And
obviously.
do you want me to add it to your cart?
Yeah.
And you know, if I'm that far down with using her, so I would definitely say yes, please do so. And if she said, okay, this is the best choice for the environment, would you like me to add that to your cart, or would you like me to add this one that's really bad for the environment? Yes, then of course I'd choose the better one. But will she ever tell me that? I don't know, like there are a lot of different interests at stake here.
And perhaps, I mean, depending on where Amazon in this case would earn the most money, I mean, that's probably what they will recommend.
No, I think it's doing good.
You do too?
No.
Of course not. And then, I mean, if we look from the VC perspective here, Lena, I mean, when you're doing investment, I know that Almi, who's partner investor, part of Almi, you have been doing some kind of research which startups actually succeeds.
This is sort of, we have looked into all the startups that we have invested in Almi Invest in the whole of Sweden, and right now we have a portfolio with like 350 companies. I don't know how many companies we have invested in. So we looked into the one that succeeds and the one that don't succeed. What was the common factors? And it seems like there are a few common factors for success, and one actually a little bit interesting, maybe not, or not impressing. What do you say? But one of the biggest factors for success is that the companies has been is based on research results, and also they are based on advanced technology platform. And in a way, because it takes some time for a startup to succeed, usually the timing is later on than you expect. And if you're based on new technology, you will have a bigger time in order to explore the market. And also, you should operate in a market with big growth. And then when it comes to the teams that are actually executing these business ideas, it seems like it's really important to have industry expertise in the teams. And it seems like younger teams are doing better than older teams. And finally, it's very important for the founders to have some skin in the game in the companies, which means that they are either investing their own money